I call the City of Riverbank Regular City Council and Local Redevelopment Authority meeting to order. Today is April 22nd, 2014. It is 6:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Are we doing the flag salute?
Oh, let's do the flag salute first. Thank you. Keep me in check. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Now roll call.
Council Authority Member Janine Tucker.
Here.
Council Authority Member Leanne Jones-Cruz.
Here.
Council Authority Member Darlene Barbara Martinez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Chair Cal Campbell.
Here.
Mayor Chair Richard D. O'Brien.
Here. Conflict of interest. Any council authority member or staff who has direct conflict of interest on any scheduled agenda item to be considered is to declare their conflict now. Seeing I'm going to start with the presentations, and I'm going to step down to the podium. And the first one is proclamation, the Bike to Work Week. Come on up. Not both of you? You might as well. I mean, my goodness. All right. First off, Bike to Work Week will be coming on up, and it's sponsored by the county. And we have Rosa Parks and Mike Costa, who are from StanCog, and they're here to accept the City of Riverbank proclamation. Whereas bicycling is a clean, energy efficient, economical, and ecologically responsible means of transportation. And whereas the bicycle offers a reliable, low-cost, quiet form of transportation, and bicycles are non-polluting and do not contribute to smog, acid rain, or greenhouse effects. And whereas by encouraging bicycling, traffic congestion and parking can be eased and air quality improved. Whereas bicycling is a fun and healthy pastime that the family can do together, and children riding their bikes to school are healthier and more athletic. Whereas the week of May 12th through the 16th is Bike to Work Week, and Bike to Work Day is celebrated annually on the third Friday in May, which is May 16th. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Riverbank does hereby proclaim the month of May as National Bike Month in the City of Riverbank. The week of May 12th is Bike to Work Week, and May 16th is Bike to Work Day. Signed by the City Council. I want to thank you. And do you have any words of wisdom on bicycling and how often you do it?
On the weekends, I do my bicycling. So I do encourage you all, if you live locally and you work, please, or going to the grocery store, I encourage you to do your shopping on your bike and do a little basket. That's what I do.
Is there a competition or something to go along with this Bike to Work Week?
We do have some competition. There's actually a countywide employers competition. Some of your employers, some of the larger employers in this region do have Bike to Work Week competitions. We also have, if you register online, if you go to www.stancog.org, there is a link to a Commute Connection website or valleybike.com, I believe, but go to stancog.org. That's the direct route. And you can register if you pledge to bike or take any other form of transportation during Bike to Work Week outside of your single occupancy car. You can register to win certain gift prizes, one being a gift basket worth, I believe, $500 worth of different items and incentives, and also a bike trip to Napa, bike and wine trip if you register and pledge. So I encourage you to go to www.stancog.org and go to the Commute Connection. You'll find the Bike to Work Week information there.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it's good seeing you again. I don't see enough of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next proclamation is for Older Americans Month, which is in May. And all of us who have experienced with some of the older Americans that have done a fantastic job, the greatest generation who brought us out of a Great Depression, out of a Great War, we owe a lot to them all. And so symbolically, we're going to be proclaiming that May is Older American Month. And I'd like to ask Mr. Alan Trawick to come on up, because we're going to present you the proclamation that was representing all the older Americans here in Riverbank. Including you, sir, when you get that old. Proclamation of this Riverbank to Mr. Alan Trawick. Whereas the City of Riverbank appreciates the efforts and contributions of older Americans, and whereas a part of Older Americans Month, the city would like to acknowledge one of Riverbank's older Americans, resident Mr. Alan Trawick. Whereas Alan Trawick served on the City Council for several years and continues to make countless contributions and sacrifices to ensure a better life for the future generations of Riverbank. Now therefore let it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Riverbank hereby recognizes all of Riverbank's senior citizens, and like Mr. Alan Trawick, we appreciate the time, work, and energy they have given to our city. And Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if you would like to say a couple of words, pass on some wisdom.
I'm kind of surprising that you're recognizing me as an older guy.
Well, a little
guy
older.
like me, I don't understand that. But I appreciate the honor.
No, thank you, sir. And thank you for all you do. Mr. White, too, thank you. All of you have done a great job for us. And
We have pulse tomorrow.
And just for the last proclamation or presentation is number 1.3, declaring to Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day. Since 1993, mothers have taken their daughters to work on the fourth Thursday of April as part of Take Our Daughters to Work Day. And whereas to Take Our Daughters to Work program found that boys and young men need to be inspired just as girls, and changed the name of the program to Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day. Whereas preparing young people for the future is a community responsibility, and Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work provides them with the opportunity to experience education beyond their classroom. And whereas Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day allows students to experience the world of work for the first time and discover the variety of career options that await them. Now therefore let it be proclaimed by the City Council of the City of Riverbank that Thursday, April 24th, 2014 is Take Our Daughters and Sons to Work Day in the City of Riverbank, and encourage everyone to welcome these young people into the workplaces across our city. Signed this day, the City Council. And this is an important step. I'm an employer, and I employ people who have never, ever had a job before and don't know any work, have no work ethics. So it's always important to encourage your children to see what you do, how well you do it, and encourage them to start developing their work ethics. And you'll be surprised of who gets ahead and who does not. So I am encouraging this, and I want to thank you, Darlene, for bringing this up to us.
Coffee's unusual for him.
Okay, item 2, public comment. No action can be taken at this time. Members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council LRA Board. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per person, and each person may speak once during this time. Time cannot be yielded to another person. Under state law, matters presented during the public comment cannot be discussed or acted upon. For record purposes, state your name, the city of residence. Please make your comments directly to the City Council LRA Board. Do we have any public comments?
My name is Julio Avila, and thank you for taking the time for hearing my last meeting. I presented a program for e-hoops. I don't know if you recall, made copies of it. And I had a message yesterday in regards to coming to this meeting tonight to hear the proposal and,
We are going to be discussing this, so this is an item that is agendized, I do believe.
oh, is it? Okay.
So when it comes to time, sir, I ask you to speak then.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this is the
that's-
time.
No, the time is when we're talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Yes, sir.
Alan Trawick, I just have a question I'd like to ask. I read in the paper recently where you're going into the our deal that we have every year on the streets here and everything with the Rotary Club, and you was paying them for the rights for this. I've been involved in that for 30-something years. Rotary Club never had no rights to that. I guess I am questioning, why is the city paying them for the rights to have that?
That is a fair question, and you want to respond? 'Cause I was going to respond later. At this public time, we can't really respond to it, but I can tell you about it, or the city attorney can tell you about it. For this period, it's just you ask us the question, we'll get back to you with it.
Okay, I just have a hard time understanding why, knowing that the chamber and the city started this and everything, without the Rotary Club even being a Rotary Club in Riverbank. And I'm not against Rotary, I'm not against anything. I'm just concerned about why we're paying these thousands of dollars for this. And I would like an answer on it. Thank you.
Walking pretty good.
Yeah, you are, sir.
I just have a comment on the trees that are hanging over, if this isn't the time. The trees that are hanging over the streets in our neighborhoods, some of them are as low as 10 feet. And I damaged my motorhome one day in my neighborhood by not watching where I was driving. And I don't know if there's a city ordinance on how low those trees can hang over the streets. Really, I mean, check out the neighborhood. It's not just my neighbors, because my neighbors don't have any trees, but it's the ones in that neighborhood. Should be cut back to where at least you can drive down the street without damaging your vehicle. Check it out. Thank you.
No further comment? Okay, we move on to item 3, consent calendar. Consistent of item 3A, waive readings. Item 3B, approval of April 8th, 2014 City Council Local Redevelopment Authority minutes. Item 3C, out-of-state travel request to amend an ADC 2014 Defense Community National Summit, June 4th to 6th, 2014 in Washington, D.C.? It says 2016. It should be 2014 in Washington, D.C. Do I have any questions on the consent calendar? Does anyone want to pull any of the items? Does anyone from the public wish to pull any items from the consent calendar? Seeing none, I bring it back to the City Council for a motion.
I'll move that we approve the consent calendar with the change of the date to 2014 in item 3C.
I'll second it.
We have a motion to approve and a second the consent calendar.
Council Authority Member Barbara Martinez.
Yes.
Council Authority Member Jones Cruz.
Yes.
Council Authority Member Tucker.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chair Campbell.
Yes.
Mayor Chair O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 6.1, adoption of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Riverbank, California, approving appointments of Joan Stewart, Patricia Hughes, John DeGlee, and Carlos Villapudua to the Planning Commission.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Annabelle Aguilar, City Clerk. As you know, at our March 10th regular City Council meeting, you adopted a new policy to reestablish the terms of the planning commissioners, and at the same time to have a method in which to fill future vacancies. That evening, you also approved to have 4 interim planning commissioners, Joan Stewart, Patricia Hughes, John Dagley, and Carlos Villapudua, to continue serving on the Planning Commission, directing staff to complete the process and by removing them out of the interim status. Letters of interest were received from all 4 commissioners, and they stated they were interested in continuing to serve. A random drawing was conducted to determine the terms of office that they would serve. The results are Commissioners Stewart, Hughes, and Dagley will serve a term until December 2015. And Commissioner Villapudua will serve until December 2017. So that has reestablished the terms, and those are the terms that they will serve. We recommend at this point that you adopt the resolution that's before you to appoint them officially, and afterwards I will administer the oath of office and present them with their certificates of appointment. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from the City Council? Are there any comments, questions, or comments or questions about item 6.1 from the public? Seeing none, I bring it back for item 6.1. The first portion is to adopt the resolution to appoint current interim planning commissioners. Then do I have a recommendation?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept and adopt the resolution as stated in item 6.1.
A second.
We have a motion to accept and a second. Item 6.1, item 1.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez.
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz.
Yes.
Councilmember Tucker.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell.
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Second half of this is have the city clerk administer the oath of office.
Okay, so if the planning commissioners would like to meet me up here. Let me set this up. Here we go. Small cheat sheet just in case.
We're going to follow you.
So state your names when I ask you to state your names, and raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I state your names,
Carlos Villapudua.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will,
and that I will,
well and faithfully,
faithfully,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you. Okay. I, Annabelle Aguilar, City Clerk for the City of Riverbank, do hereby present Planning Commissioner John Dagley with a certificate of appointment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I, Annabelle Aguilar, hereby present the certificate of appointment to Joan Stewart. Congratulations. And I present the certificate of appointment to Carlos Villapudua.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Planning Commission is a extremely important commission for the city of Riverbank, and we've taxed them a lot this year and in the ensuing years. We have a lot of work for them to do, and they're doing it in such fine manner. So thank you very much and congratulations. Item 6.2, consider approval of 3-year contract extension exercising the option available to the current street sweeping agreement between Jilton Solid Waste Management and the City of Riverbank.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This matter requests your consideration of Jilton Solid Waste Management's request to exercise a 3-year extension of their current contract for street sweeping services. Kathleen Kleek, Senior Management Analyst for Development Services, will provide you with a brief presentation on this item.
Thank you, Maricela. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight, I'm present to you for your consideration and approval of a 3-year contract extension for Jilton Solid Waste Management to exercise the option available in their current contract. The current contract with Jilton Solid Waste Management was a 40-month contract, began September 1st, 2010 through December 31st of 2013. The extension option available in their current contract is to extend the contract for an additional 3 years. Proposed new expiration date would be December 31st, 2016. The services provided in the current contract with Jilton Solid Waste Management, total curb miles swept in the city of Riverbank is 1.80.50 curb miles. Residential streets are swept twice a month, and the downtown area is swept once a week. Additional services for sweeping up to 4 special events. We have Jilton sweep after the cheese and wine, after the Christmas parade, and we have the option of 2 other city events to have them sweep the streets for. A current street sweeping map schedule, and this is very hard to read. I did provide a copy for each of you, and there's copies in the back for any residents who would like to pick one up. This basically shows the day of the week. It's color-coded, shows when, what day of the week they'll be sweeping the streets in the various areas in Riverbank. Vehicles and equipment, just an overview of what's being used. The sweepers are in compliance. They're diesel engines, and they meet the Air District PM10 requirements for both the engine and the operating components. The equipment is maintained. Street sweeping vehicles are kept clean and in good mechanical condition. The seen and unseen benefits of street sweeping. There's 3 primary benefits. First off is the removal of debris, and we see that on our streets. The removal of this debris prevents blocking of the storm drains when it rains, and we don't have flooding. Also makes the streets look much nicer. Removal of metal particles and other hazardous waste products. Particles are virtually invisible, very hard to see. These are picked up so that they don't get into our rivers through the storm drain system and are harmful for our fish and our wildlife if that does happen. Street sweeping is an effective method of removing these pollutants. Also, the city has requirements through stormwater discharge. Major component of the city's stormwater discharge Phase 2 permit and the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. And then part of the city's best management practices to control and improve water quality. Cost and funding source. Current street sweeping agreement allows for yearly cost adjustments in July based on the consumer's price index. The last index increase was 0.8%, which worked out to $55 increase per month. Current monthly charge is $7,098.71. And the current annual cost, including the index increase, is $85,184.52. Currently, the city uses our gas tax fund to cover the cost of the street sweeping. Some cities have entertained the idea of putting that into their garbage rates and charging residents. The city does not do that. The city takes the money from the gas tax fund to make sure the streets are clean and also take care of the stormwater issues, make sure that the anything that going down into the drain is clean. Reimbursement received from Caltrans for sweeping along State Route 108 is $4,159. So the total cost to the gas tax fund is $81,025.52. So tonight, we're asking to consider approval of Jolton Solid Waste Management's request to exercise their option available in their current contract for a 3-year extension. Extension option would be for an additional 3 years. The extension would be from January 1, 2014 through December 31st, 2016. So the new proposed expiration date would be December 31st of 2016. At that time, if council wanted to exercise their option of going out with an RFP, that's something that can be decided upon, and staff would follow your direction in that. So any questions or comments?
Questions, comments? Any questions or comments from the public?
You invited me down here tonight, so I'm down here to complain. I have no problem with this, other than I worked on this sweeper for 10 years, and if it don't have the proper water when it's sweeping, it blows that stuff up in the driveways. And that's what I'm concerned about right now. They blow the dry stuff, but when they're sweeping, it comes up in your driveway instead of being picked up with a sweeper from the lack of proficient water in it. So that's something I think you should look at and see if they have the right amount of water when they're sweeping and all. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Kathleen, on that the last statement about the sweeper adequate water, they're in sound mechanical state. We would have to impress upon Jilton that they will have to ensure that they're picking it up instead of pushing it out.
Yes, definitely. I will address that.
Back to council. Oh, any other public comment?
How often are the streets are being swept?
Being swept twice a month? 24 times a year? And the main reason for the sweeps is to improve the water quality from stormwater. There are some cities that are on coastal are sweeping it at least weekly, if not more than twice a week, to prevent any contaminants to be run off, especially the bay side, from the city to the bay. There are hefty fines for any of these, for pollutants. So
Maybe they have some kind of schedule.
you have to come up here to speak.
Maybe if they have a schedule where they're going to sweep that day, maybe they can alert the neighborhoods so they could move their cars out of the way. That way it'll be more effective. Thank you.
What this is.
And he does bring up a good point. Even though we do have a schedule, we do have a map, we do need to get the word out when it's going to happen, because there are a lot of streets that are clogged with cars on street sweeping day.
Yes, and
And
sorry.
we have discussed alternatives to start issuing citations, but that's not a motivator. The motivator is education, not punitive yet.
Right, and at least through our utility bill, we try to make sure that once or twice a year, we do include that schedule to all of the residents so that they are aware of when that street sweeper will be on their street. And as the mayor said, trying to educate the public so that they're aware of when that's occurring.
Do I have any recommendations or motions from the council?
I'll make a motion that we accept item 6.2.
I second the motion.
We have a motion to approve item 6.2 and a second.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez.
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz.
Yes.
Councilmember Tucker.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell.
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 6.3, facility rental fee waiver request.
Mayor and council members, Sue Fitzpatrick, Director of Parks and Recreation, will be presenting to you information on the fee waiver requests that have been received by her department.
Mayor and members of the council, the Recreation Department has received 3 fee waiver requests recently that we wanted to bring for your consideration tonight. We do have a council item coming up on May 13th where we want to talk more in depth about fee waivers, city sponsorships, how that affects the overall budget, and ways we can somehow mitigate meeting the nonprofit needs and still being able to maintain our facilities. So that's a report that's coming up. The 3 requests that we're bringing to you tonight were more time sensitive and they really needed us to bring this sooner. So that's why we're presenting those prior to our discussion on May 13th. So I'll just kind of go through these one by one. The Bay Area Christian Church, the gentleman that came up earlier, this is the item that he was wanting to discuss. The request is for the Riverbank Community Gymnasium to be the host venue for eHoops, which is a basketball program for children of all physical and learning disabilities or abilities. eHoops is a volunteer program. It's run by volunteers, dedicated to empower children of all abilities to reach their full athletic and social potential. The proposal would be for the program to occur at our community gymnasium from September through November on Saturdays for 3 hours per Saturday. The specific request is for the rental cost for the gymnasium to be waived. It is normally $50 per day. The site monitor fee for the 12-week period would be $360. The financial impact, the city does pay the school district for utilities and for custodial supplies for the gymnasium. So that there would be, by waiving the $50, there would be no offset to the general fund for that waiver. The site monitor fee is paid by the renter. These all go through the enterprise fund. If no fees are collected, this would be a general fund expense. The recommendation that we have, just for council to consider, is this program does coincide with our mission. We want to provide these type of programs. That has been our goal as well. If another group can do it, that's a good thing. So what our suggestion is to waive the facility rental fee, but the site monitor fee be required. So we would waive the $600 facility rental fee, work that out, and then just charge the site monitor fee. It is an alarmed building, and we do need staff there when it's open. The insurance is provided by the group. Should I go on, or would you like to talk about, just go on? Okay. The Riverbank Golden Agers is the senior citizen group that has danced in the community center for years on Wednesdays. They also have Sunday dances that they have, which is handled a little bit differently. But they're experiencing some financial limitations that are making it difficult for the group to continue their Sunday dances at our community center. The specific request is the current fee that we charge the Golden Agers on Wednesdays is $50 a day. The current fee for service clubs for weekend rentals is $350. The request is to lower the Sunday dance fee to $50 per day for the Golden Agers. The financial impact, the city would collect $50 per day opposed to the $350 for Sundays. The offset for custodial and utilities would come from the general fund. This group does not require a site monitor. They know the building, they have a key, and they provide their own insurance. So it is recommended that this fee waiver be granted. Again, we do want to provide programs for our seniors. We do want to provide that social environment. Sundays is not a day that's rented often, so it wouldn't be, we would be losing a lot of potential revenue. The Golden Agers are willing to work with us if there is, say, a wedding that wants to take place that would be a larger revenue generator. They will work with us on the dates. The third one is the Cardozo 8th grade parent committee is working on a promotional dance for the 8th grade class for this coming May 22nd. The dance will be from 9 p.m. until 12 a.m. The estimated attendance at this event is between 80 and 100 with chaperones present. Specific request is to waive the service club fee of $350 and the site monitor fee of $120. Well, actually, the site monitor fee would be $60 and the custodial fee would be $60. The group will provide insurance, the $200 refundable facility deposit, and the chaperones. It's recommended that the service club fee of $350 be waived, but the site monitor fee and custodial fee be required. The cost of custodial is $60, as I said, and the site monitor is $60. So the overall cost for the event would be $120. The parent committee would be responsible for insurance and the refundable facility deposit. And again, financial impact would be an offset to the general fund of the difference between the $350 to the $120 that we would be reducing the fee to. Any questions? And I have kind of a little summary there.
I have a question. For the Riverbank Golden Agers, and I just want some clarification because different things I've been told, do the Golden Agers themselves rent the community center on that Sunday? Or I've been told that they have a party that comes in that actually conducts the dances that they actually pay a fee to. And I'm just curious, where does that fee go? You know, is that just to that person that's conducting the dances, or can you explain that?
Yeah, let me have Darlene Hall come up. She is in charge of she's the president of the Golden Agers, and she can answer that more specifically.
I hope. Hi, I'm Doreen Hall. I have been affiliated with this group for 14 years. So on Sunday, it's the Golden Agers that host the dance. We don't require a membership on Sundays because we're trying to get everybody to come, whether they're members or not. And the way that our money works is we charge $4 a head at the door. We pay the band with that. We pay the rent with the rest, and there's nothing left over. But that's where our money comes from and goes to.
That clarifies it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have a question. How often do you have your Sunday dances?
On the first Sunday of every month when it's available, and we're more than happy to cancel a dance because I told Sue it's more important that if you can get full rent, we understand. Okay. Anything else?
Any other comments, questions? I haven't opened it to public yet. One second, please. I think all three of these are very useful, and I believe that there shouldn't be any problem going forward with this, but we'll hear from the public where they want us to go. I open it to public comment.
My name is Martha Martinez. I've been a resident of Riverbank all my life. I was surprised to hear about the e-hoops, and I'm very excited, and it's touching. I have a child with learning and physical disabilities, so it's hard not having these kind of programs around here. So I'm like, that's emotional to me. I asked Sue, and thank you, Sue, for presenting the 8th grade parent promotional dance. I would really like, if we get this opportunity with the city waiving those fees, we would be able to lower the price of the tickets for the kids and hopefully have more kids coming. And, we want them to have a fun activity and monitoring them after, their promotion. So I've done it in the past, and the kids really, really have fun. Thank you.
Any additional comments? Seeing none, I'm bringing it back to the council for recommendation.
I make a motion that we approve item 6.3.
I second it.
We have a motion to approve item 6.3 with the facility rental fee waiver request, all three of them, and a second.
Councilmember Barbara Martinez?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Tucker?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 6.4, presentation providing an update on the designated local authority successor agency to the Riverbank Redevelopment Agency.
Mayor and City Council members, tonight I'll take an opportunity to update you on the status of our designated local authority, who was the agency who was appointed by the state of California to be the successor agency to our former Riverbank Redevelopment Agency. Just briefly, I'll go over who our agency was, some of the major projects they undertook, the financial status of that agency at the time, the dissolution of all redevelopment agencies by the state, who the designated local authority is, the status of the bonds that were issued in 2007, as well as the status of the property disposal that they currently hold. Our Riverbank Redevelopment Agency was established in June of 2005. It provided financing for projects that would enhance the economic viability of the city, and it helped to remove blight to enhance property values throughout the project area. And I'm sorry that this map is so hard to read, but the areas that are colored in blue and in yellow were actually the project areas, and so any properties within those project areas provided revenues to our agency. The way that the funding source worked was that the redevelopment agency received tax increment. So let's take for an example a home that was worth $100,000 when our agency was established. If that home was reappraised at $125,000, that $25,000 difference based on our current property tax that's assessed of 1%, we would receive the benefit of that along with other taxing agencies in the city, which include the school district, our community college district, our consolidated fire district would also receive the benefit of that. Some of the major projects that were constructed using tax increment as well as bond funds was our downtown beautification. That was our largest project, along with the Plaza del Rio. The Del Rio Theater was purchased using bond funds, which the agency pledged the tax increment revenue to. With tax increment revenue, we were also able to purchase Reed's Garage. We also issued bonds for housing-related projects, and so we were able to loan our Riverbank Family Apartments the amount of $3.2 million in order to construct the apartments. In February 2007, our redevelopment agency issued bonds for many of those projects. We issued approximately $12.3 million in non-housing bonds, an additional $3.1 in housing bonds, for total debt of $15.4 million. Our annual debt service for those particular bonds every year was between $999,000 and a little bit over $1 million. Unfortunately, during the decline of the housing values, particularly in 2008, the redevelopment agency saw large decreases in revenue. If you'll note, 2006 and 7 was the very first year that the agency received revenue. It was a little bit over $1.1 million. The second year, we received almost close to $1.8 million. Unfortunately, in 2008 and 9, we began seeing the property values decrease, and that also impacted the revenues that were received by the agency. That first year, we saw a drop of almost $600,000 to our revenues, and a steady decline from there. With the final year that the agency received revenues, it was a little bit under $600,000. In June 2011, Governor Brown signed what was called the Dissolution Act, which dissolved all of the redevelopment agencies throughout the state of California as of October 2011, and also signed a Voluntary Program Act, which would provide agencies with a method to buy their way back in to allow their agencies to continue operating. The League of California Cities began a lawsuit against the state claiming that these acts were unconstitutional. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court in December of 2011 upheld the legality of the Dissolution Act, but claimed that the voluntary program to be able to buy in was unconstitutional. And so it provided no alternative to those agencies to be able to continue operating. In January 2012, the City Council elected not to become the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency. And in February 2012, all redevelopment agencies were dissolved. And so our designated local authority came into existence. This is a 3-member board of Stanislaus County residents who were appointed as the successor agency. We have Mr. Wendell Naragi, who is the chair, Mr. Walter Schmidt, who is the vice chair and who is also in the audience, and Mr. Paul Baxter, the treasurer for the designated local authority. They are tasked with winding down all of the activities of the former agency, which includes paying off all the existing obligations and the disposal of property. Due to lack of revenues for administration, the DLA does receive assistance from the state via a contract with Cosmont Companies, and they receive financial administration assistance from us. They also receive oversight from the Riverbank Oversight Board, which is comprised of 7 representatives from the different taxing entities here in the city, including Consolidated Fire, the school district, as well as 2 representatives that were appointed by the City Council from city staff and a member of the of our business public. Every 6 months, the DLA prepares and submits to the state what's called a recognized obligation payment schedule, and it sets forth all of the debt that's owed during a 6-month period. And so there's one prepared for January through June and a second one prepared for July through December. Any of the revenues received can only be spent on debt that's listed on that schedule. So this graph shows you here is that unfortunately the shorter bars that are in the lighter green, that is the revenue that's received. The 6 months reports that are prepared for the state reflects almost 2 to 3 times as much debt that is owed, and so that reflects the larger columns there. So in 2007, bonds were issued for projects that were constructed and or properties that were purchased here in the city. Unfortunately, revenues have not been sufficient to make all of the debt service payments. In August 2013, the bonds did enter default. There was an interest-only payment that was made to bondholders in August, and there was not sufficient revenues to make the principal payment that was due of $320,000. In February 2014, the bonds continued to be in default. There was an interest-only payment due of $315,000, and so the DLA forwarded all revenues that they currently had available, which was $271,000, and the trustee, who is U.S. Bank and works on behalf of the bondholders, has elected not to make a payment. And so currently that $271,000 does sit with the bank, and they just have elected not to forward those funds. In August 2014, there will be a principal and interest payment due of $680,000, and according to the county, the designated local authority will be receiving $180,000 in revenue, and those funds will be forwarded to the bank trustee as a payment towards that bond, and it will be their purview whether they will make some sort of partial payment with the accumulated funds that they currently hold and the funds that we will forward on behalf of the DLA. Currently, the DLA holds title to 3 properties: the Del Rio Theater, the Del Rio Theater parking lot, and Reed's Garage. The DLA is required to submit to the state a long-range property management plan, and this plan details the properties that are held, their estimated value, and their proposed method of disposal, whether it's a sale or a transfer to a government agency for public use or some other method. The proposed disposal method that they have selected is the sale of all properties, and the funds that will be collected from this sale will be remitted to the bondholders. In November 2013, the designated local authority and its oversight board approved this long-range property management plan, and it was submitted to the state for their approval, and the designated local authority was asked to provide some revisions to that report. So currently they are awaiting final approval from the state. In February 2014, the designated local authority and the oversight board also approved a broker listing with Lee and Associates. They provided an estimated sales price for all 3 properties of $499,000. And just to give you a little bit of historical information, the Riverbank Redevelopment Agency purchased the Del Rio Theater for a little bit over $1.7 million and paid the cost of the Reed's Garage was about $450,000. And so the listing agent will market the properties to be sold as a whole. So all 3 properties will be marketed for sale as one package. After 6 months, the DLA will reevaluate whether they can be sold individually. And that is all of the information that I currently have to date on the designated local authority. If there are any questions or comments for myself or for the Vice Chair of the designated local authority, Walter Schmidt, he's also available to take questions.
Before we go on and ask for questions and comments, I want to expand your brief a little bit. I want to first recognize that the DLA has been very aware of the city's position and has taken great pains to protect the city's reputation. And I applaud you for that. I thank you for that. Secondly, I want to thank Maricela for her participation and her support for the DLA. And, you put a lot of extra time in there, and how much more do you get paid? And she has been such a great help to the DLA, and so has Cosmont. So I appreciate those efforts. How we got here isn't the topic tonight, is how we're going to proceed is our topic tonight. So if you have comments or questions, now is the time to ask them, and before I open it up to the public.
I have a question. The funds that are being held by U.S. Bank, is it earning any interest?
Yes, unfortunately, the market is not earning quite enough to be able to really make a difference on that. They're very limited on the type of investments that can be made, and so they're being extra cautious with these funds on that as well.
Marcella, is there any, for final approval of when the sale can be done, do you have an idea when that final approval might come through?
At this point in time, there's no knowledge as to when that final approval will come through. We do know that the Department of Finance, who is the state department that is currently reviewing them, is trying to work as speedy as they can. They have a deadline to review every single long-range property management plan throughout the state by December of this year. And so they are working very quickly to be able to review everybody's plan. And so they've also been educating themselves because the Department of Finance, unfortunately, is not a real estate savvy, nor do they have real estate experience. And so they've had to go through an educational process with that as well. So that has caused some of the delay.
My question is, where did they come up with the $499,000 for that? I know Reed's Garage has some value, but and although the Del Rio has value for historical sake, the value of it is zero. If you take a look at, well, renovation would be excess of $1 million. To demolish it would cost more than the property that you would get after you're done.
What we do know is that it was very difficult for the agent to be able to come up with a cost. There are really no comparables for the type of properties that are here. Really nothing out there in terms of items that have sold recently. We know there's the State Theater in Modesto, which could be similar, but because it hasn't been sold within the past couple of years, really wouldn't provide us or provide the agency with a good foundation on which to base their value on. So it really was just a composite number that they came up with and that they will attempt to sell at to begin with.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Are there any questions, comments from the public?
I just have a quick question. You talk about revenue. Where's the revenue coming from? I mean, if we're not getting taxes anymore, or that increment, and it's not going through that anymore, and you show revenue up there. That's my only question. Second question: is there any chance that if they want to give it, I mean, it's not worth anything, so why don't they just give it back to the city?
Any other questions? We'll answer that in one moment, sir. Good question.
I've only got one comment I want to make on this. I do not understand why the city paid $1.3 million for that without a proper investigation to determine the existing problems in it. I know you guys are not there, but so help me, I cannot understand whoever's on this council and the manager or whoever made a decision to buy a building for $1.3 million without a proper inspection on it. I don't have the other answers, but that's my comments. Thank you.
Sir. Okay, I bring it back. Mayor Sullivan, would you respond? We are getting our revenues from some of the tax sources, property taxes, that baseline above the original value of the property. Some of them are worth a little bit more, and that's where we're getting our revenues. To make it worth our while to be able to pay interest and principal, we would have to come back to 2007 and above, between 2007 and 2008 revenue stream. And right now, you can see that we are at a $700,000 to a $600,000 shortfall each 6 months.
Yes, although the state dissolved the redevelopment agencies, they did not take away the revenue source to be able to pay those off. It still provides for a limit as to how long an agency can collect those funds. And so as soon as all of the debt that is currently outstanding is paid off, then that agency no longer exists. And so that's when the revenue source will go away.
As to respond to the comment about how can someone make a decision like that without a proper investigation, that is beyond this council. However, this council has looked at past history, and we have decided that we would go more cautiously and ensure that there is a thorough investigation before we even make a recommendation, and it will be publicly vetted prior to any decision being made. And I do know that there is some history back behind it, but we're at a point now that we can only move forward. Rewriting history would be easy if we could do it, but we cannot.
That's correct. And to address Mr. Zinner's second question regarding whether the agency would be willing to transfer those properties back to the city, that would be entirely the purview of the designated local authority to see if that would happen once they've attempted to sell the property.
And to follow up on that, the city of Riverbank still owns the property, but we're owning it only because we have an umbrella of insurance that will protect those buildings in case, fire, someone getting hurt on them, trespassers, etc. If we did not have that insurance, did not do that coverage, there would be uninsured properties, and the assessments would be much greater for the fire. So we decided, on good faith, to retain the title until such time it can be transferred to DLA for further transfer to a potential buyer. So we're doing that to protect the DLA and to protect the state. I hope that's recognized. Okay, is there any other comments or questions? Okay, and this is no actions required. This is just a presentation.
Correct.
All right, thank you. For item 6.5, presentation, providing an update on upcoming capital projects, including the signal at Oakdale and Morrell Avenue. Thank you very much, sir.
Mayor and council members, Kathleen Kleek, Senior Management Analyst for Development Services, will provide you with an update on some of the upcoming capital projects with relation to signalization and intersections and widening projects throughout our city.
Thank you, Maricela. Good evening again, Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight I'm going to go over some updates to some exciting new projects that we're finally seeing here in and around Riverbank. So first off, I'm sure if you've driven by, you've noticed that there's some work going on finally. So the notice to proceed was issued to the contractor on March 6th. And the signal poles have been ordered, and they have been, they've arrived, at least to the contractor, so that's good news. Clearing and grubbing has begun. They're starting the construction on the northwest corner of a sound wall, retaining wall for one of the homeowners there. It's the one with the temporary fence that you see as you drive by. So that's starting. Project completion is scheduled for July 23rd, and so we're hoping for good weather, and so that does not get delayed. But also we'll be keeping council informed as to the status of the project and how things are going. The public as well, if any detours or anything, we'll make sure that it's on the website. And we're also trying to get some information into the paper so the residents are aware of what's going on in that area. You'll also notice that over in Cornerstone, which is right off of Oakdale Road, there's a new housing construction starting. Those are model homes. And so we've sent out to a large portion of the Crossroads area that are in that area so they know that construction's going on. There may be some construction vehicles to watch out for. So we're trying to make sure that we keep everyone abreast of what's going on. So we have two construction projects going on at the same time in the same area. So the second project I'd like to give you an update on is the intersection improvements at Patterson and Roselle. This is still going forward. We have to wait until October for our programming due to how the funds are programmed to start our preliminary engineering and right away. So we haven't started on that yet, but we will be starting in October. The The construction phase for that is programmed for fiscal year 15-16. So what we did is we programmed the engineering and the right-of-way the first year. It gave us enough time to get that done, and then we programmed the construction funds. So the construction phase is tentatively scheduled for spring of 2016, which time is flying by, so it'll be here before we know it. Another update for you is the intersection improvements at Clarabelle and Roselle. This is a county project, but the city is making sure that we are involved in the decision-making process. Staff attended a kickoff meeting at the county office last week. The county awarded a design to Mark Thomas and Company, and they're basically, right now, is they're looking at a roundabout, but they're looking at the traffic data to make sure that that's something that is feasible. Right now, it's just tentative. They don't know if it's going to be a roundabout or a signal. So they're working on the environmental, and they're working on obtaining the right-of-way that they need. I was assured that if it was a roundabout, a semi-truck would be able to go through it smoothly, but that, we'll see how that goes. Also, the traffic study engineer had stated that if the option is for a roundabout, they would be willing to come to a council meeting and show traffic cams and give information to council and to the residents to assure them that that would work in that area. So I will continue to follow the project, and I will continue to give you updates as I get information. This project is tentatively scheduled for, let's see, right down here, fall of 2015. And that's if all the environmental and right-of-way is acquired in a timely manner. And another project that's going to be starting in next week, actually, is the Clarabelle Road widening project. This is also a county project. It's going from McHenry to Oakdale Road. It's a one-year project schedule. So what I've been told is they're not sure about the exact schedule yet. They are looking at signalizing Clarabelle and Coffee sooner than later. So they may be working, it looks like they're working on the McHenry end. Then they may go up to the signalize Coffee. But this, again, I will keep council informed, and if there's any closing of roads and impeding traffic for the residents, we'll make sure that they are fully aware. So it's an update on the project. So is any questions or comments?
Questions or comments from the council?
I have a question.
Yes.
And it's in regards to Roselle. It's just something that I've noticed. You've got a stop sign at Palmer and Patterson. And Roselle is just a bit down the road. But there seems to be a lot more traffic coming up to Roselle these days, headed to Patterson. I'm just wondering if there's ever been a consideration to possibly move that stop sign another block up there to Roselle, or are they going to eventually put a light in there at Roselle and Patterson, or anything happening there along those lines?
Roselle and Patterson will have a signal.
Okay.
Or Roselle and Patterson, yes. Let's go back to, there we go. We are working on that. We'll start the PE and right-of-way on that project in October. So, but we will look at, I will look at Palmer, the stop sign there, and see how it, the configuration with what we're doing with this signal and how that's going to work. There will also be a lot of coordination with the railroad, because this project also is going to have a pedestrian crossing over the BNSF tracks and sidewalks. So we'll be looking at that whole area. Welcome.
I have a couple of comments or questions. My concern is that Clarabelle and Roselle, with the roundabout proposal, is good for what is the current traffic pattern. But with the North County Corridor and the potential for the North County Corridor being scaled back in scope, but the traffic projections are still to exceed 50,000 vehicles per day up to Roselle, and then 20,000 beyond Roselle. I don't know where they're going to go from Roselle, whether they're going to go south or north, but that's a big traffic. And if the 4-lane widening project now up to Oakdale, and they say, well, we don't have the funding, we're just going to continue down Clarabelle, that's going to really be a stickler if it is a roundabout. So I know you're involved with it, and I want you to keep pressing our concerns that if Clarabelle becomes the North County Corridor, a signal has to be there. A roundabout will not be functional.
And I'll make sure that they're clear of your position.
Kathleen, I have the same concern.
Okay.
Anybody else have the same concern?
I agree.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. Thank you. I will make sure they're aware of that.
Front on this. We need to make sure that we are not going to be minimized, City of Riverbank minimized for the county's gains.
We'll make sure that your concerns are being relayed to the county and document those so that they have that as part of their project file.
Thank you.
And I just had a question about the Oakdale and Morel. I know you said it would be noted in the papers or whatever. Do we have any kind of estimation? Do they expect any closures on there, or we just have to kind of sit around and wait and hopefully see it in the newspaper?
No. The only thing that there is going to be some work on Morel between Oakdale Road and the sports complex. They're going to need to close part of that road. We have talked with Sue Fitzpatrick, the recreation director, and have let her know if there's any activities that are going on during that period of time. They're not going to close all of Morel, just that one section, so they'd have to go out to Coffee and then around. And they wouldn't be able to go through that way. They'd have to go all the way around. But there will be access from Coffee to the sports complex. As far as residents, there's no plan to close any roads that are going to impact the residents. They're planning on trying to keep one lane open at all times. So if there is any change to that, we will try to make sure that the residents know as soon as possible, as well as the mayor and council.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I bring this back and we accept it. Thank you very much, Kathleen. Item 7. 7.1 staff comments, please.
Just a couple of comments. My first one is on behalf of all of the staff. We'd like to wish Councilmember Barbara Martinez a very happy birthday. We wish her lots of joy and happiness on this day and thank her for her dedication, as it is the second year in a row that she is with us at a council meeting during her birthday. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
There is also a follow-up to the marketing and branding workshop that occurred several weeks ago. At that first meeting, several stakeholders were asked to provide words that they would want to hear when describing Atchison Street, and so a variety of words were brought up, such as attractive, relaxing, inviting. And so as a follow-up to that, Michelle Reeves from Civilis Consultant will be back to provide her report on how we would be able to execute that vision so that ultimately one day those words will be associated with our Atchison Street corridor. So that will be on May 1st at the Riverbank Teen Center at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Riverbank News, Oakdale Leader, and Escalon Times will be sending out a Reader's Choice Award. There will be ballots in the newspaper beginning tomorrow for you to be able to choose your top Reader's Choice in terms of businesses, and the top businesses in each category will receive a framed certificate from the Oakdale Leader and Escalon Times and Riverbank News. We will also have a box that will be in administration so that it could be easier for residents to drop off their ballots here.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite Sue Fitzpatrick for some of her updates on the recreational programs that are occurring in the city.
Mayor, members of the council, I just wanted to give you an update on our progress on the Cheese and Wine Festival. We have hired an event coordinator. His name is Chris Rickey, and it's Chris Rickey Presents Incorporated. And just to kind of give you a little bit of background on him, he has 20 years as a producer, talent buyer in Northern and Southern California, over 1,000 concerts booked and produced. Former chairman and current board member of City of Modesto Entertainment Commission, board member of Stanislaus County Education Foundation, board member of Boys and Girls Club of Stanislaus County, president Modesto Downtown Entertainment District Task Force, and a member of the Modesto Rotary Club. And he has produced the Modesto Art and Wine Festival. He's done the Summer Fest, Stockton Miracle Market, Moody Gardens Concert Series in Galveston, produced Shoreline Jam in Long Beach at the Queen Mary, and just a whole list. So he's very experienced. I did call his references. I called 4 of them, and there was nothing but excellent comments. And they said, we've got the best around. So I'm confident in that, and hopefully we'll be doing well with the progress on this event. He has already set up a website. He's seeking sponsorships. He's scheduled to attend the Riverbank Rotary meeting at Perco's on May 8th. And he's in the process of scheduling those meetings that we knew were very important. The first one is going to be May 6th for the businesses. And then the next one will be with the nonprofits, and I think that's scheduled for May 7th. And then he's going to set up after that just a general community meeting. So that's kind of what's going to happen next. But we're moving along, and I know that vendors are already calling and being booked, so that's the progress. Other than that, just a reminder, Riverfest is this weekend on Saturday, and hopefully we'll see everyone there. And I do not know what happened on Sunday, but our parks were more crowded than ever before. Jacob Myers Park has never filled up on Easter before. Usually it doesn't happen until May, Mother's Day. And I got panic calls around 1 o'clock Sunday, and the park hosts were overwhelmed, and it was completely closed to capacity within a couple hours. So I don't know if that's a sign of what's going to happen. I need to research it. I don't know if something has closed down that used to be open, but all of our parks were completely filled. So something is different. But just to let you know, we did have staff come in, and they handled everything. Whoops.
Except for that.
Broke the clicker. But anyway, just if that's a sign for this summer, we're going to have our work cut out for us. But that's all the news I have.
We're really looking forward to Riverfest. And the way you have really built it up, there's a lot of expectations.
There are no other staff comments at this time.
All right, council comments. Councilmember Jones-Cruz.
Thank you. I wanted to wish you guys a happy Earth Day today, and I know it kind of leads us into Riverfest. I'm very excited. I have out-of-town guests that I'm excited about bringing to Riverfest, so if they get here early enough, they'll be down there for the run, too. So I've got a chance to go to a couple of the parks. I've got my grandson on spring break. That's my spring break this year. And I just have to say, I've been to 2 Riverbank parks. We're doing the tour of the parks to keep him busy. They are beautiful, and they are clean, nice people there. The equipment's fabulous. I was at another park last week in another city close by. I won't mention that. And our park's just out outshined them, and I just wanted to thank you. It's been really nice and fun to do that with him, so thank you for that. And I recognize all the hard work there. I had a chance to go to Riverbank High School's NJROTC troop inspection, and it was really a neat thing to go and see. It was kind of their final hurrah, and I have to say the mayor was looking smashing in his dress blues, and it was really cool to go see. And I'm sure you guys all saw it in the newspaper. Last item is the BAC, the Budget Advisory Committee, still has one more vacancy. They have a meeting tomorrow night, so if anybody's interested in that, I know I'll be there, and so will Marcella, and hopefully we'll get that last spot filled. It's a good opportunity to learn a little bit about the city finances and be a part of that and voice your say while we have a say to do that. So I would encourage the community to come out for that if they need to and want to do that. So thank you. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Barbara Martinez, please.
I attended the town hall meeting regarding underage drinking, and it was presented by the students to express their concerns about this particular issue. And this is a serious issue that we all need to give a second thought about, and also to give our due diligence towards ensuring we are not part of the problem. I attended the Water Board Summit at Modesto Junior College, and the summit was presented to give our regional water authorities a chance to present our need for water, both for our residential and our ag lands, the current cost of water and how it has risen drastically for farmers because of the drought, and the need to address storage projects and stormwater. And I, too, would like to invite everyone out to Riverfest. It is this Saturday, the 26th, 10 to 3 p.m. And also, there's going to be a 5K run and walk that starts at 9 a.m. And also want to invite everyone who's interested in being a vendor or a farmer that is interested in our first farmers market. It will be May 7th, and it starts it'll be from 5 to 8 p.m. And you can pick up packets at the City Hall. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Tucker?
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that all of our intersection and widening projects are moving along finally, and that's exciting to see. I'm really happy to hear that we've got a great event coordinator for Cheese and Wine, and look forward to great things for October for our city's signature event, if you will. Hope that everyone comes out for Riverfest. I know that staff have really, taken up the charge with this event since we lost some of our community volunteers recently, and so I know they've put a lot of work and effort into this, and I hope it really pays off and that people will really come out and support Riverfest. And as you all should be aware, Farmers Market is coming back Wednesday nights, so as Councilmember Barbara Martinez says, please come out and support Farmers Market, and hopefully we'll have music and food and a great event Wednesday evening starting May 7th, so look forward to that.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I attended one of the Stanislaus Alliance Economic Committee meetings, and just a couple things I wanted to pass on. They're looking at changing their name to possibly the Stanislaus Business Alliance. They think their name's too long and it doesn't get remembered very much. Likewise, they're going to increase programs to try to get more training for jobs that don't have the training in our area, so that we can kind of plug holes with that. Likewise, I went to Riverbank Cares, a meeting with them, and the food sharing for the nonprofits is starting to fall together. They're working on a 501 to become a nonprofit organization themselves, so that they can sort of supervise the nonprofit food services in our community, so that we're not duplicating efforts, and that seems to be falling together. And in reference to what Maricela said and Sue about Riverbank's parks, I think, because I've been out and about the community a lot in the county, we're getting a very good reputation. I mean, people are starting to discover Riverbank, and they're finding out that our parks and other facilities are quite top-notch, and I think that's having a big effect on what we're doing. And I'll sum up by saying I'd like to see everybody Keep telling their friends, relatives, and the other communities to come out to Riverfest. It's our first time that we're doing it in this nature. I'd like to see it quite successful. And encourage the people to join in with the 5K run, walk. Part of this is exercise and health, and that's a good way to do it. And it's a lot of fun to do it. And I'll be out there running or walking myself. Thank you.
Thank you. I only have one comment, and it is to the council. We need to take a look at our calendars, if you guys will, for May. We have scheduled a budget workshop on May 21st, I do believe, and that budget workshop may need to shift. There are concerns about StanCog conflicts. I really don't, StanCog can wait, but there's also concerns that there may be some travel that may shorten the time frame. So I would like the council to take a look at the 20th. I know that there is a planning commission workshop or meeting at that same time, but we were told that we could move them to another venue. So we need to take a look closely at that. I was asked by the city manager to bring it up for discussion, or at least look at it. It's not agendized, so we can't make a decision. It's a meeting. But please look at it closely and try planning for the 20th as the workshop. That way everyone can attend. There won't be any conflict with the county. Other than that, I'm looking forward to Riverfest, and the anticipation should be a great event. With that, item 8, closed session, beginning with item 8.1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 Alpha, name of case, Farnham Construction, Inc. versus City of Riverbank, Court of Appeals of California, 5th District, case number F058692 and case number F059499. Item 8.2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. Pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 Alpha, name of case, Adria Allen and Francis Allen versus City of Riverbank, Stanislaus Court, case number 670739. Item 8.3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant of subdivision Bravo of Government Code 54956.9, one potential case. Are there anyone from the public wishes to comment on any of these cases? Saying that, before I do go to closed session, we also have informational items 10.1, which is the warrant register, and item 10.2, Budget Advisory Committee minutes of Wednesday, March 26, 2014. These are informational items. Is there anyone from the public wishes to comment on that? Seeing none, we go to closed session. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Question for you. Did you read the article? Did you read the article today?
We are on.
Oh, okay. Wait. Go ahead.
Report from closed session, item 9.1. Report from closed session, item 8.1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. Staff have been provided direction. Item 9.2, report from closed session, item 8.2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, provided direction to staff. Item 9.3, report from closed session, item 8.3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. Direction has been provided to staff. With that, we conclude.
Now I'll ask you, Mike.